right. Hello, everyone. Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another awesome day. We are here at FMTrain.tv where we all have Michael Van. Well, I don't even know how to pronounce your name. So Michael was hired without my really interaction involvement. The team thought he was kind of useful. And then somewhere along the line, wow, what happened to your color? Your color on your screen just like went bonkers. So anyway, welcome everyone to another awesome day of FileMaker training. And so Michael, I have not had a lot of interaction with him. He's kind of an interesting new guy. We call him Music because he likes musical type stuff. I guess he has a history of using FileMaker before you came to work for us. You were using FileMaker, right? What were you doing with it?
Yes, sir. I was in a band, that's why they call me Music, and we were doing a lot of touring at the time. And in order to keep track of all the shows we were playing, all of our contacts, all of our merchandise, I made a FileMaker program, and that's how I got started.
Cool. All right. So welcome to FMTrain.tv. Let me cover a little bit of low-hanging fruit here. I'm Richard Carlton. This is Michael, Musical Michael. That's who we have here. We have a sample file for today. I want to alert you to that so you know that that's coming. I'm going to widen this out a little bit. It's just kind of big. We are doing some pretty awesome stuff. One of the things I want to point out is that this is FMTraining.tv, so we do broadcasts every day at this time slot. The broadcast people are typically either myself or Nick Hunter. Today, Nick has got a pretty gnarly head cold. He had it yesterday. He jacked himself up on medication, but it's kind of crashing him. So he swears he doesn't have COVID, but the fat's fine, I guess, whatever, but he's still sick enough that I don't want him around me. And so he's taking the day off, actually doing some FileMaker work, legit work. He's probably hanging out around here somewhere. If a bunch of memes start showing up on screen, then you'll know he's here because that's how he does it. Some of us do memes, but he does a lot of memes. So real quick, FMTrain.tv is where we do all the awesome on-demand or live training. We have an on-demand track. We have a live training track. It's pretty intense. We are continuously updating it. We brought on board one of our extra video editor type people, so we're really going to be cranking out the content. All the content for the FileMaker Go 2020 course, really it should be called the mobile course because it's web direct and it's Go. We kind of combine them together. We cover really both of those topics together. So that is in here. So what you do, if you buy the bundle, if you look at the individual courses here, you can see we have this, not deploy, but it's our Go. So we really have three main courses. We have the platform course originally about FileMaker Pro, really, and how to build apps. And this is the core knowledge base. Then servery stuff. So servery stuff, Claris likes to say deployment. Servery related stuff is in there. And then including replication and Cloud 2 and Cloud 1. And we have a new set of videos that are going in there. David Castillo should be putting those together. It's about a 5 or 6 hour step walkthrough of building an Amazon server on Windows. We do have the 1 hour broadcast we did on Linux, so that is in there. This is all the Go WebRec. So we're adding to this. This one's done for the moment, but we're going to go back and be updating and adding some content to these. To get these, you want to check out one of our bundles. We have a coupon for $249 if you want 1 year, $349 if you want 2 years. 2-year deal. That gets you everything, including a copy of FileMaker for yourself. And then if you want just the video training, you can get that over here. So that's at fmtrain.tv. The upcoming live schedule today and tomorrow is kind of this kind of open question and answer day where we're doing questions. I don't know if anyone else from RCC is actually monitoring the Discord. So it might be me playing air traffic control and answering questions over here and trying to direct Michael. So Michael's brand new on our team. We hired a group of 3 basically junior grade people at the same time. They've all been working together. But to hire 3 people, they start off at half-time, but they're slowly kind of inching their way towards full-time status as they start to do coaching projects. So for those of you who want a coach, we're building new coaches for you. It takes time to do that. And today we're going to be looking at one of the sample files that one of the coaches has been building with feedback from myself and Christian Olsen. Pretty great stuff. So that's today and tomorrow. Thursday is not on here. We will be broadcasting Thursday. It's going to be a very basic webinar, mostly to kind of placate Claris because they want me to cover some basic stuff like what is FileMaker and how much does it cost. Actually, getting into the conversation how much it costs is likely to take the entire hour. So I don't know we'll do much more than licensing on that on Thursday. And then we'll see if we do anything on Friday or not. I'm not sure on that one. So anyway, lots of good stuff. So I have my list of questions I'm going to ask. If you folks have questions about this, but this is like basic beginning FileMaker stuff. So basically what I did is working with aviation transportation companies, we had this kind of general need. So this sample file is a manifest file. The idea is to take a quick manifest in terms of people and or cargo. And with aviation, mostly it's not some, well, partly it's an issue of where that cargo is at in the aircraft. On a train or someplace else, maybe not so much on a boat. You know, there is some sensitivity to where weight is placed on the boat. But the idea with aircraft, they're very, very, very sensitive to that. So the idea was to create a tool that does this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hello, Michael. Michael's here. Hello, Michael. All right. And so the idea is what we're going to do is take a look at his sample file and ask questions along the way. Trixie, if you're there, any of the people who are really brand new, you want to ask questions like, how the hell did he do this? Welcome, Wade from Incline Village, Lake Tahoe. Awesome. Great. So if you have questions about Michael, like what was his learning process? What did he discover? What didn't he discover? What about FileMaker? You know, I mean, a lot of this is definitely the opposite of a Nick lean design conversation. This is about, like at Michael's level, at the Trixie level, at the Bunny level, if they get a FileMaker file to work at all, it's a success, right? They're not so much worried about, oh, will it work with 20 million records and 200 users simultaneously around the world, globally replicating. That's not a concern. Having it work out and turn on and actually showing up correctly is like the top possibility. It's a great moment. And so NetLobster has a question for Michael. Okay, that's great. NetLobster, try to keep it G-rated, Michael. But if you could have any superpower in the world you want, what would you want your superpower to be?
That's a good question. Thanks for asking. I would say the ability to control metal, kind of like Magneto. I think that his powers are really interesting to me.
Okay, I can tell you've thought about that way too much.
I sure have.
So that's great. So NetLobster's throwing stuff around. All right, great. So let's jump into the file. I put the link out there for everyone already. It's an kind of an open source free file. I'm going to pop it open right here so we can take a look at it. I'm going to zoom in on it at one level so you can see it. I'm going to get rid of that. Michael is down here if we want to keep an eye on Michael. My doc is in the way. So this is it. So when we jump into the manifest, understand the manifest is a list of people or items that are on a specific trip. The trip could be a flight. The trip could be whatever. With ideas that we came up with a manifest list. So a single manifest is a single trip for an item. So we came up with a new button right here, and you fill out this screen. Now you can tell this is greatly influenced by Nick Hunter and the lean design stuff and Starting Point. And so the idea was that we would have the ability to add, if you had repeating items on here, you could go back and recycle those. You could have a company information. And it's also got iPad specific screens, which are kind of great. If I have a chance, we'll plug in the iPad and take a look at that. But the ability to take a picture of the individual items and document those. Does that make sense? So you can like say the company, say that I'm going to fly for like Thule. Ken Thule needs some flying or whatever. We have flight number Zulu 456. And then you could have this contact information here. You could actually go and add an aircraft. You can choose an aircraft right here. These are pre-built items that are in here. Once again, it's specific to aviation, but you could recycle this for anything. If you have a limo company, you could totally recycle this for that. And then, of course, you wouldn't be worried about weight so much. An aircraft, we're always worried about weight and making sure that we don't go over the weight. So we have the aircraft in here. We can add cargo and passengers. Now, what's interesting about this from the cargoes and passenger standpoint is that the iPad and the iPhone make really great tools for taking a picture of the item and document it. And so we built screens where you can actually directly do that. And we will pop that open if we can. And so TK says, Agent Chevy wants us to have you work us through the file. And TK saying, yeah, you have good, clean code. And of course, Kyle's going to probably pass some sort of judgment. Kyle's a very talented engineer. So you want to kind of, I mean, I had some questions here, but I guess the summary of the file is that it's essentially, it's a manifest here, and it's an aircraft list. So you have a manifest details, a manifest, so this is the data entry screen, the list view screen. Then we have a separate aircraft screen here. And this one was interesting because they used Nick's little round circle kind of single slide control with the rounding edges trick that you see in the Starting Point. That's down here. And so as you select items here, This is is this a footer right here? Is that what we're looking at right here for that? That's the footer, right? And the footer and the header actually typically reflect the record that you're selected on, right? So that's pretty slick. And so it allows us to add the information here, etc. So if we go to File, Manage, Database, we'll just jump in. It's kind of hard to, I'm on 1080. I know that you folks like to see this bigger, but there's really only 3 tables. In fact, there probably ought to be a preference table in here, but there's not. But once again, there's only so much you can demand from a brand new junior staff. So Kyle says, I think one of the hardest things, David, is trying to keep all your code clean. Yeah, we knew that this day would come where it would get out there publicly, and we wanted to make sure it wasn't a mess. So we were kind of all over Michael to make sure it was clean and go back and resequence stuff. Now, Michael, was this one that you took from starting point, right, initially? Is this the file that you did that on?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, so what happened is an interesting story on this. So I said, hey, build this. So he goes and gets starting point, gets a fresh copy of starting point, builds this in here, and then under the hood is all the other starting point stuff. Now, if you're building a CRM and you know the business is going to grow, then you might want to leave it under the hood. In this case, it was totally unnecessary. So they spent a lot of time ripping stuff out, right? I mean, how hard was it? Walk us through. What did you have to do to rip this stuff out of starting point?
It was a challenge. A lot of the things that I saw in starting point, I didn't understand what they were, and so I had to kind of learn what they were to make sure that I could pull it out without breaking something that I needed to keep.
Okay, yeah, and that's an important part, is trying not to break it permanently. Table occurrences. Kyle says, when you go back and build from scratch, you know everything. You know what's already there. The trick is, if you can find something like, if someone needed a manifest solution, I would highly recommend starting with something like this, and then adding the content to it. If you want to build it from scratch, go ahead. I have people going, it's like the time I had this engineer, doesn't work for me anymore. He goes, I'm going to build my own synchronization because it's not that difficult, and And talking to Jesse Barnum and Todd Geist over the years, I know that building sync is a bitch. Like, not a little bitch, as I think in the words of Tom Clancy, a cast iron bitch. And so he goes, oh, I'll do it, no problem, and I can do it in less than 40 hours. And so like 200 hours later, he comes to me and says, I swear I'll never do that again. So people say you can build it from scratch. You can build from scratch. It's going to be a lot of effort. A lot of time you can recycle, but then you have to try to understand what the user is doing. And so if we're over in the file here and we go to script workspace, and you come over here, and I'm going to move this over a little bit. The only scripts that should be left here are the scripts that we needed. All the other starting point related scripts are pulled out. So the numbering is somewhat arbitrary, but you do see that there's numbers. Like, for example, navigation is 500. He left at 500 because it's probably what it was in starting point, right? But having the scripts with separate numbers, I think is the optimal thing. I think worrying about the gap between number 000, well, there's a little bit of a boo-boo here. You got 2 number 6s right here, so that has to be fixed. But that should be 0010, somewhere between 10 and 500. I don't worry about that, right? So welcome once again, everyone. Yeah, we are going to chase down why there are issues there. But so if we have questions about what he went through on this, so I said I needed this solution. I kind of drew some pictures with my hand, kind of wireframe. One of the things that people run into, we ran into this with another customer even right now, and he's kind of really aggravated at us. And he doesn't understand the mechanics of that. He had an idea in his head. He wrote down kind of an outline on a single piece of paper, and it's really probably 3 or 4 months of work. And he doesn't understand why we can't give him a quote and make a cast iron quote just from a loose list that he might provide. And the reality is that for a company, a legit company, to build a legit estimate, you have to have wireframe. So wireframe is where you kind of structure it out. You can use software to do it. You can do it by hand with crayons. It doesn't matter. But you draw what it's going to do. You draw all the buttons and fields on it. You label everything. And then as you have buttons, you have to write an explanation of what each button does in detail, right? And a lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to flap their lips and express things to you, maybe give you a page or two of document of what they consider their requirements list, and they expect you to give them a fixed cost quote. And so that's very, very difficult to do. So anyway, very important to understand that that's how I handled this project with him. I threw him in the deep end. I gave it to him all verbally. I wrote very few things down. So Michael, talk us through pick apart here the manifest details. I'm going to connect the iPad. I'll get that going. But you want to walk folks through this briefly a little bit here on this, or do you not want to do that? What do you want to do here?
I'd love to walk you guys through it. Yeah, as Mr. Carlton said earlier, you've got an aircraft details section, you've got a manifest details section. One of the things
Do we want to show your screen? How about we just show your screen if you want to show your screen? Okay. And then did you set the resolution a little bit better?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead and switch over to that, and I will make you full screen. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to move my little box. If you can move that little box out of the way, or just out of the down somewhere. There we go. Great.
There we go.
Walk them through it. I'm going to hook up the iPad and show that, but why don't you walk them through this for a second, okay?
Okay, very good. As you can see up here, you've got your aircraft details, your manifest list view, and your manifest details. I put this little debug here because, like Mr. Carlton said, we were going back and forth between an iPad layout and a computer layout, and I wanted to be able to test both of them and be able to edit both of them easily, and so I just kind of made that for an ease of use thing. So moving along, if you go into your, actually, I guess I can show you that real quick. So that asks you if, what you would like to do. You can choose touch or mouse and go into that layout. So one of the things that I really like about this particular solution that I did, this was a learning experience for me, was when you have an aircraft, you enter in all the information on your aircraft's details page. And then once your aircrafts are all built, once your records are all built, you can come over here and you can just drop in whatever aircraft you want. And it changes all the, it updates all the fields, it updates the weights, your empty weight, your gross max weight, your current gross max. And this is something that I learned that Mr. Carlton had to tell me, is that in aviation, they use the term gross max and current gross. So that was a fun little piece of information. Let's see. So I'll just kind of start by going up here to the manifest details. I'll make a new one, and all the information goes in. You can put all the information in. Boom, 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 boom. Choose an aircraft. Great. So now it doesn't have any cargoes or passengers, as you can see right here. There are no current packs or cargo. You can just go ahead and add one here. It populates. You put in a name, Mike, put in a weight, 25 pounds, because he's real small. And a position, we'll just go 26E. Very good. And then if you add, I'm just going to add two more so you can see what happens here. Oh, look at that. Everything turns red because now we have too many passengers or too much cargo on our ship or on our aircraft. The same happens if you, let's say, this guy Jeb here is really heavy. Boom. Oh, you can't do that because your current weight is higher than the gross max of the aircraft. So that shows you that you're unable to do that. I thought that was a kind of fun feature to build in. Just bin 10. There we go. And everything's back to good. You can delete this guy, and you're back to being within your current weight. Let's see here. Of course, you have your list view, just a standard list view with all the information, your manifest ID, your current gross weight, etc. And we already looked at the aircrafts. And then one more thing before I go back. These can all be organized by alphabetically, which I thought was a little fun feature. It was already in starting point when we started this, but despite my better judgment, I took it out. And so Mr. Carlton asked for it to come back. And so I had to kind of relearn how to put all these things back in. That was a fun process for me.
My bad. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. All these things were exciting.
I have a quick question. I have to take you off topic briefly. Where is the hosted version still hosted, and what server is it on?
Yes, sir. It is on 41.
Okay. I'll go find it here. Keep going.
All right. Okay, so back here, of course, you can search as well. Let's just search for John Jones. Boom, there it is. And you can search for anything. So you can say British it is. Show all flights. And that brings all your flights back. So that was a fun little process to make that down there.
What's it called?
Flight
There it
manifest.
is under flight. F, got it. Okay, here we go.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I logged into it. All right.
So, all right. And then, of course, the last thing to show you is that we do have a print here. I'm going to go to print PDF, open in preview, just so you guys can see it. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. And this is something that the other new hires helped me make. In fact, a lot of this was done by Andy. I can't take credit. I can't take credit for everything, but yeah, this is just a print view that shows all of your manifests with all your flyers, your weights, all of the necessary data, place for a signature. It's got all the good stuff. So I'll just go ahead and close that. So that's a basic rundown of what the app does and what it can do.
Yeah, not now. Thank you. So this is the iPad screen right here for those of you wondering about this. So Nick, we have a separate set of layouts. Once again, Nick provided a little bit of guidance, but really you guys did it yourselves, right, on this thing? So if I go to like the bottom manifest, like we go to the, do we have a new one we were working on? Oh, this is the online one. Okay, so let me go to this. Well, these are all big ass planes. So let me just do a new one here. I could press the new button. You could add some stuff up here, come down on the screen, tab down. But if you look at it, the structure of the screen is different. So this is what you're going to learn in the interface design course, is that we've got a column here that will expand or contract, and we have this cargo packs column on the other side. If I rotate it, of course, it's going to give me grief. Let me see if I can fix this. Turn rotation on. There we go. So if I do it, I rotate it, there we go. So now it auto reflows to fit the screen really great. And so that's why it's designed this way. So no matter which way you turn your iPad, this is a 10-inch iPad, right? So no matter which way you turn it, it looks pretty good. If I go over here and say add crew or passenger, it puts a little box right here. In fact, you and I went round and round and round about this because this is what the brand new guys do. They say, oh, you want to add an image, right? And so it's a container, right? It's a square container. And so you could say, let's just say this is TK. We're gonna take a picture of the stormtrooper and weigh him. And let's say TK is getting hefty and he needs to like lose some poundage. So let's say he's 259 pounds. And so he's probably pretty round. I'm like that weight, but I'm 6'2", and yeah, so I'm pretty big. But for TK, I think you're a smaller guy than I am. Yeah. So anyway, so then what you want it to do is be awesome. So if you click the image, you just want to take a picture or something, right? And that's what it does now. It's asking me about the access to things. So there's the camera of the camera of the camera of the camera. I take a picture. I say use the photo. It squirrels it, spins it, puts it in. Now, did you write a commit after that so it would save it? Remember we talked about saving it, otherwise it's not committed?
Yes, sir.
And you did that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because that's one of the things we talked about that yesterday or Monday or whenever, is that after you put it in here, it's in the container, but unless you commit the record, it hasn't been saved back to the server. And if you close the app and disconnect, like right now, and you went away and you didn't come back for a while, I've closed it, it's black now. It didn't refresh the screen. If I come back, there it is. The people go, where's my signature? Where's my picture or barcode or whatever the hell was in the container, right? So that's kind of the whole pad with that. So there it goes. It reconnects. No thanks for registering. So there you go. So it's pretty neat stuff. Yeah, Ken Tooley's talking about a more aircraft customization. Once again, it's a manifest. The goal is not to make it really too grossly tightly wound to aviation. I know it works for that, but it would definitely, because Ken Tooley flies hot air balloons. I fly other stuff. And so our needs are a little different, right? That being said, weight is no matter what, if it's in the air and not on wheels on the ground, even on the ground there's weight issues. No one pays attention to it. But if you're a truck driver, you need to have legally going down the road, you have to have a manifest, I'm pretty sure, to explain how heavy your truck is, what's in the truck, and all that kind of stuff, because you can't go over a certain weight or the semi-trucks will crack and destroy the road. That's why they have these scale stations, because the truck drivers will cheat sometimes. They'll pull in, they'll actually weigh them, and they'll say, oh, you're 5 tons overweight. Here's a ticket for $1,000 for breaking the freeway. Thank you. Right? So anytime you're going down the road in your little car and you're getting broke, most likely semi-trucks have been going down the road and overweight, and that's normally what destroys the roads. It can be wear and tear, but trust me. So anyway, I love truck drivers. I'm just saying that's just the way it is, right? There's people who fly planes that way, except trucks destroy the roads. If planes are overweight, they just tend to crash, right? If they're grossly overweight, right? We'll pause there. How many hours did it take him to build this? That's a good question. How long did it take you to build this? But you were learning along the way, but how long did it take?
It took me about a month, I would say.
A month? Yeah, but okay, but you're not working full time, so you're already like warping the calendar clock from beginning to end was a month. But you're working what, 4 hours a day, and half the time you're doing other stuff?
Correct.
So
Correct.
Probably for a junior guy with some adult supervision, it took him about a week to build it. So there you go. So it's about 40 hours for the junior guy. What other questions did I have here? I had some questions, like preloaded questions. I'm not going to ask you what's your favorite superpower, Ellen. I don't know what Ellen's doing. Okay, well, Ellen would like, what's your favorite, and are you a dog person or a cat person? And are you committed in a relationship?
I am a cat person. I've got a wonderful cat at home. He's 6 months old. His name is Kumo, and he's the love of my life.
You named it after the governor of New York?
Is that the governor of New York's name, Kumo?
Never mind. All right, moving along. Wally, mine's 18. This probably should work on 18 fine, right? Don't you think? Or did you actually set this thing to require 19? You want to show people how that's done? For those of you who haven't seen this before, it's kind of a basic thing, but show them how you can set a file to be 18 or 19 or whatever version. Do you know how?
I don't know how.
Okay, we'll go to the file. Go up to the menu, down to File. Go down to File Options. And then you can specify the minimum version right there on the right. See that where it says 12? You could specify the minimum version. And then it will do it's like a pre-startup script check. So it's like a startup script but a pre-check, but you really can't control the dialogue. It just says, hey, you need a newer version or at least something to do it. Net Lobster, Ellen has a cool, okay, well, Ken and Ellen have questions. Q lots of custom functions in here. Did they come from starting point? Did Michael build any? So go ahead and close this now. Go ahead and hit OK. Close that. Go to custom functions. Let's take a look at what custom functions are in here. So File, Manage, Custom Functions. Most of those I recognize because I wrote a bunch of those. Keep going. Google, keep going. Yeah, these are all starting point, I think, for the most part. So he didn't clean out the custom functions. So Ken found the dirty underwear. This is like I always say, always wear underwear or always wear clean underwear, right? So, yeah. Yep, so there's that question. Michael, did you build any custom functions, yes or no?
I did not build any custom functions, no.
Do you know what a custom function is?
I do know what a custom function is.
What is a custom function? Tell me.
It is.
So that's the problem when you say you know the answer is, because I might say tell us. In your words, tell us what is a custom function.
It is a function that is not built into FileMaker that you write yourself.
Okay, but what is a function?
A function is, depending on what you're doing with it, it would just, like, for instance, we had this phone custom function up here, the phone number, where you would write in your phone number, and regardless of what you put in, it would take your text and run it through the function and make your phone have brackets around the area code.
Yeah, a custom function is basically a block of code that does something for you. It's typically a calculation of some type. It could be fairly intricate with let functions and while and looping and stuff, but it's not, a custom function is not scripts. It's code that will execute to generate some sort of result. Is Julia flying an Apache? I don't know if there's an A864 in here or not. I don't particularly, didn't really matter. I didn't designate yeah, that's a yeah, that's a funky that's an A864 D or E, whatever that is. It's at least a D model. So yeah, I didn't tell him to put a military Army helicopter in there. I swear I didn't tell him to do that. That's kind of an unusual photo. Let's see. There was another question. Net Lobster. Many scripts use the same number. What's the thinking behind that? The thinking is that he screwed up and he needs to resequence it. Would be, I think, the answer, right? Oh,
Yes, sir.
Michael, why you want to answer Net Lobster's question in case you don't like my answer? Would you like to
No,
provide a better
your
answer?
answer's true. Your answer's
Oh,
true.
I thought you could make up some stuff like, well, there's some strategery to kind of confuse the lobster. Because lobsters, are these like underwater animals, and if you give them the same number twice, they might, just float to the surface or something. All right, moving along. Wolf Paul, someone may have taught him this. Come on, Michael. Yeah, we could always blame the repeating numbers on your boss, Christian Olson. Yeah, he never taught you to do that. What a bad person. Yeah, so you can, let me see, do you want to add the image? That would be the image. Yeah, so go ahead and run through the process of adding an image here, I guess. I don't know if you want to do that or not. I don't know if you have any pictures of you or your cat.
Okay. You can either click on it.
Does that work on?
There we go.
Oh, it does work on the, okay, great.
Yes, so you can, here's a
do the taco assault, that's fine.
there we go.
There
I love that picture.
Yeah, that's a long story. I instigated a war between my MVP team and my taco team, and so anyway, notice a custom faction for more advanced SQL. Okay, so Kyle, I'm just gonna kind of like skip your comment. I'm not an SQL guy, and neither is the guy who did this. It was a leftover from starting point. Here we go. So there he goes. Right. Yep. See, there he is. He already found something that no one else knows what he's talking about, right? So remember that there are people who work on starting point that are actually smarter than I am, and those people are not here today, right? So it's just me and the new guy, right? So I'm sorry. He says that if you SQL function called coalesce will return the date and timestamp function in a FileMaker friendly date and timestamp format. Yeah. So yeah, you use it a lot. We don't use it here at all anywhere. In this solution, but this is the beginning of a guy who. How long have you been using FileMaker now? Since when were you picked up? You haven't been here that long.
Not very long. I started started about 2 months ago, I believe, 3 months ago.
Yeah. So yeah, he's motoring right along. So, but see, he's getting. So those of you wondering like what it would be like to be here, if you had a coach, if you were getting like 3 hours of coaching a day or 2 hours of coaching every day, then that's kind of where you would be in the process. So we're doing kind of intensive coaching with these guys, getting them up to speed. Then they will start to coach and then continue to build their skill set. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's what I thought, TK. These guys are pretty sharp. Sometimes we hire guys and there's kind of like a skip and a burp and it doesn't quite go. And then you're like, but we got 3 that seem pretty sharp, and we're pretty happy about that. And the Christians, like I said, have been keeping me away from them because I have a way of running people off when they're new and they're overwhelmed by my personality, which is, as some of you know here, it can be a lot. Depends. Michael Wally there. My Gravel, no logon screen, no main screen. It's working, but only in layout mode. So do you have 18 installed on your computer, Michael?
I'm on 19.
I know you're on 19. I'm asking a question. Do you have 18 installed?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Why don't you close the file and open it in 18? And let's take a look at what Wally's saying. Because Wally says it's working, but only in layout mode. I'm not sure what that means. So we're going to open it in 18 and see what happens. Now, are you in 18 now?
Yes,
this
sir.
18? So, Wally, what's the deal with? Are you on Windows, Wally, or are you using, is this like a squirrel-powered PC using Windows 98 or something, or Millennium, or what are you doing over here? I'm trying to understand why it says it works in, it's working but only in layout mode. I don't understand it because we're in browse mode right here. You're in 18, and pretty much it does. I don't think you built any 19 specific stuff in here, right, Michael? I mean, you would know what 18 and 19 is, but I don't think there's anything in there. Right. So Wally, I think the file is in a zip file. You opened a zip. You need to, on a Windows machine, you need to uncompress the zip first, then open the FileMaker file. So go ahead and quit FileMaker, go to find the zip file. You've actually opened the FileMaker file inside the zip file. This thing that Windows people do, right? And it's because it's not obvious. Macs, they won't let you do that. So basically, when on the Mac, you double click the zip, it pops out the FileMaker file. It's read and write. Your file's probably set to read only. You need to quit FileMaker, open, decompress or extract the zip or whatever you want to call that. Then make sure the file is set to read and write, or not an archive. Sometimes they'll say archive is a Windows thing, right? And that'll make it much better. So Kyle replied to Ken. They're talking back and forth. Yeah, pretty awesome. So we'll be back tomorrow. Sorry for Dave, but you got a free sample file. Michael didn't die in the process. Michael, do you have any parting words of wisdom? I've kind of taken over the conversation, but parting words of wisdom for people.
Parting words of wisdom, geez.
Learning FileMaker. This is your big chance to pontificate. Make it good. Make it good. Make it
okay. Good. The biggest takeaway that I got from this project is to have an idea of the types of layouts you're going to have before you start the project. We added the mouse layout later, and I basically just started making 2 layouts for the mouse versus the computer or touch layout. And that caused me a lot of time because I had to, when I made an edit on one layout, I had to make it on the other as well. So when I made it on the touch layout, I had to make it on the mouse layout. And so it basically just doubled my time. And I feel like I could have done better if I had visualized that beforehand.
Conveniently, so I probably didn't warn you about that, but that's also very typical of your customer. When you deal with a customer, they're not going to warn you. They're just going to spring it like, well, doesn't it work on the iPad automatically without, just magically, right? It's magical. It's magical. It's going to work on the iPad or the iPhone or the Android too, right? So it works on it only if you like bleed and sweat and work your ass off, right? So anyway, cool. All right, well, that's it. Any other, so planning. I think we file that under the word of planning. So he says planning more in advance, do some diagrams and stuff like that. Any other things besides planning and diagrams before you start building?
Just make it look great.
Make it look great. Yeah, it's always better since it looks nice here. It doesn't look like dog doo-doo. These guys are being very nice. I've seen Kyle Williams tear people up before. He's like, I want to stay on Kyle's good side. It's like, rawr, 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 rawr. Yeah, keep organized, plan ahead. Good comments. All right, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow. Have safe travels. Stay out of trouble. Try not to drive too much. If you're overseas, reminder that if you're not from the United States, then maybe you don't have a holiday this week, but Thursday and Friday are highly subjective and kind of weird and whatever due to holiday, Thanksgivingness. And then we've got the whole COVID stuff going on. Nick has COVID. The rest of us have COVID, but Nick has COVID. All right, everyone, we'll cut you loose. We'll catch you next time as soon as I get to the closer. Or not.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected. The quarterback, great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snaps a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.